Welcome back to the shop. It's finally warmed up enough here that I've gotten a chance to paint all of the parts of the power hacksaw. The only one I have left is this one, so I could show you the color match. So it's a fairly close match, I would say. Again, I like this green, so that's why I wanted to stick with something similar. I'm happy with it. So I got to get this piece stripped and repainted. This is the paint that I'm using. Just brush it on, 2 coats, and here's the color code if you want to see that. I don't know that this is exactly the original, but fairly close match for the piece that I brought in to have color matched. Also cleaned up the motor. It was working fine, just pretty messy, so I took the whole thing apart and cleaned it out, cleaned up the castings on each end, and repainted it and put the whole thing back together. Still works just fine. So let me get the camera moved in a little bit closer and we'll start putting this thing back together. These corners were machined surfaces, but the tops of these aren't, so I'm not really worried about the paint that's going to be in between them. I had a spare oil cup laying around, so I replaced the broken one that was in there originally. Put some divots into the 2 brass gibs that were already included, and then made a couple of more, which will go along the top of here. The final piece of the puzzle, a brand new Starrett power hacksaw blade. I've got the saw and motor just temporarily screwed down to a scrap of sheathing, just so I can keep some tension on the belt and test this thing out. The first real project for this will be to build a cart or a stand for it. I picked up some offcuts of aluminum angle and plate, and that's what we'll use to build ourselves a stand. The only real thing I changed on this from its original setup was the on-off switch configuration. Originally it used this little piece screwed into the back, and then there was a wire that sort of came down and pushed a full-size on-off electrical switch that was mounted in a box over here. I got a toggle switch. I kind of just thought this was a cleaner solution and fabricated up this bar welded onto a little plate here. Uses the 2 original mounting holes, and that lets it flip off the switch as soon as the saw comes down here through the end of the cut. I'm still waiting to finalize the wiring at the motor over here. Right now it's hooked up and it works. Once I have the stand made, I'll cut this cord to length and finalize all the wiring connections. I have the cover plate and connector that I need, just waiting to know exactly how long that cord should be. I oiled it up and made sure it ran, but haven't tried cutting anything with it yet. Let me get the camera moved and we'll make its first cut. I guess not bad for its first cut. You can say the shim fell out of here. This connection's pretty worn out. I'll probably end up making a new brass bushing in here for it. I just took a piece of brass shim stock and had it pressed in here, but it worked its way out. So I'll probably end up replacing that bushing. Other than that, it seemed like it cut through there. Not bad for 1/8 inch wall, 1 inch tube. I'm sure you'll be seeing plenty more of this saw in my videos. Hopefully this thing has another 50 years of life in it. Thanks for watching.